Vasishta continued, "The infinite consciousness, which is the true self of all, is endowed with omnipotence. But the jiva, which is essentially non-different from the self, is endowed with one faculty, appropriate to its notion. Hence, depending upon the nature of the jiva, it enjoys endless powers or limited powers." So the language isn't very clear here. The one faculty appropriate to its notion will be the ego, the one faculty identifying with the one self. So this is consciousness identifying as an individual. Consciousness thinking of itself as an individual. Consciousness can also identify with itself, in which case it enjoys endless powers. It's endowed with omnipotence, because everything is arising within consciousness. Consciousness is doing everything. We tend to think, though, of omnipotence as something which the ego has. So I'm afraid omnipotence isn't about being able to rule the world or have powers like Superman. Omnipotence is realizing the nature of consciousness. We as individuals arise within that consciousness. It's the consciousness at the heart of our being, and so does all of creation. And from a scientific point of view, it's being manifested moment to moment. It's turning electrical signals into the whole phenomenal universe. The infinite consciousness is free from expansion and contraction. It is the jiva that gets what it seeks. It's the jiva which can go between one and the other. It's the jiva which goes between notions of individuality and realization of the infinite consciousness. The yogis who have acquired various faculties exist and manifest such faculties here and also elsewhere. We've been hearing about the marvellous abilities of the yogi. We had this mendicant who created various lives through the power of his imagination. So this is what this is referring to. However, since they are enjoyed here and there and in different places, such experiences appear to be many and varied. So this mendicant lived life as jivata, as a bee, as a creeper, as a deer, as a swan, and as Rudra, a realized deity. However, since they are enjoyed here and there and in different places, such experiences appear to be many and varied, even as the famous Kartavirya generated fear in the hearts of many, though he remained at home. Kartavirya is a particularly frightening individual associated with a great deal of bloodletting. I think he had 1,000 arms and appeared in the Mahabharata epic. So Kartavirya generated fear, but that would be by his fearsome reputation. The translator Swami Venkatesananda gives an example which is a curious one. A modern example is the radio. Without leaving the studio, the speaker or singer enters countless drawing rooms. I don't think it's quite the same, because Kartavirya did it by having a fearsome reputation. But the point is that the yogi can create a reality which is not localized to his physical body. But this is very true nowadays of most people. We use a telephone, we're creating a reality anywhere we can get a telephone link to. I'm appearing in your room right now on the computer, creating some kind of reality. So this is the jiva in operation. The jiva in modern times is no longer limited to a particular physical location. The jiva can have an effect through modern technology, or even through books. If you write a book which others read, then you're having a direct effect on the nervous system of others. Similarly, Lord Vishnu, without leaving his abode, incarnates as a human being on earth. Similarly, Indra, who presides over sacred rites, without leaving his heavenly abode, is present in 1,000 places where such rites are performed. In response to the call of the devotees, Lord Vishnu, who is one, becomes thousands and appears before the devotees. Even so, Jivata and the others who were but the creatures of the mendicant's imagination or wish, and who were animated by Rudra consciousness, went to their various abodes and functioned as if independently. They played their different roles for some time and then returned to the abode of Rudra. All this was nothing but a momentary delusion, which arose in the consciousness of the mendicant, though it was seen as if it were independent of the mendicant. I suppose a modern example would be movie stars or pop stars that have got a public persona. They've got a public persona which takes on its own reality, and it might have very little to do with them as individuals. The point is, what about these people that have these huge public personas? Do they identify with them? Or do they identify with who they really are? If you identify with your public persona, then you're in a lot of trouble. And if I identified with Gurugillies sending my videos out into cyberspace, then I'd be in trouble. This is why I'm not too bothered about creating a nice image here with flowers and sitar music and all the rest of it. It's quite nice to do that, but there's a danger of getting too caught up in a persona. It's difficult to avoid it altogether, but I don't want to start identifying with it. The whole point of this story is the apparent diversity. And just as with the persona of the movie star or rock star, it's all a notion. It's all notional, artificial. It's what most people will relate to, but it's not real. It's not real at all. They're stories which we all like to believe in. It was all nothing but a momentary delusion which arose in the consciousness of the mendicant. Though it was seen as if it were independent of the mendicant, even so the birth and death of countless beings takes place in the one infinite consciousness, as it were. And this is what consciousness is doing. It's creating stories, it's creating personas which we take as reality. They imagine diversity in this world appearance, and then they seek unity in the self. At the time of their death, they imagine another state of existence within themselves, which appears to them as if outside. There's no inside or outside, along with reality. Along with this tag of reality, we also put the tag of inside and outside. This is something else we can inquire into. Until the realization of liberation, the embodied being undergoes unfathomable sorrow. I told you the story to illustrate this truth. This is the fate not only of the mendicant, but of all beings. That being who forgets his inseparability from the Supreme Self imagines his own notions to be independent and utterly real and substantial. And we've got lots of little lives that we create for ourselves. Life as a parent, as a sibling, as a child, as a worker, as the life and soul of the party, or as a depressive, a suicidal depressive. We've got all these notions about who we are, which we operate in accordance with on a daily basis. From one such dream he goes on to another dream until he abandons the false notion, I am the body. None of these notions of who you are who you are. Rama asked, Oh, what a wonderful story, Lord. You said that all things that are conceived to be real are real and experienced as real. Pray tell me, does this mendicant also exist somewhere? Vasishta replied, I shall contemplate this question and reply later. The assembly rose for their noon prayers at this stage.